Welcome Gemini Jupiter to your 777 reading. If you haven't watched one of these videos before, I suggest you check out the intro video to understand how this works. But I'm going to get started straight away pulling 3 cards from the archetype deck to understand the foundation of your energy. Then we're going to pull 4 cards from a tarot deck to look at the energy that's in and around you. And then another 2 cards from another tarot deck to look at the energy that's coming towards you. And then we're going to finish up with 3 cards from the Shaman Oracle deck to get some guidance. So please keep in mind that this is a general reading. It doesn't take into consideration your personal circumstances. So you're just taking what resonates with you and you're leaving the rest behind. I've got 2 cards so far, just going to get one more. Okay. So the first one that came out was the underworld. So the underworld is the archetype basically of, it can represent spirituality, things that are basically unseen. Let's see with the other archetypes and how this might fit in, because we got the shadow and then we've also got the father. So the archetype of the father, most of us have had a father figure in our lives, and see how there's like a kind of like a light side and a dark side, a colorful side and very dim side. So it's representing the duality of the father, the one who provides, the one who is the caretaker, but also absent, whether that's physically or emotionally, sort of preparing you for life. And we've got the shadow, which could represent, this could represent you dealing with a father figure and their shadow side, or perhaps you're a father yourself, or you're the father figure. It doesn't have to be gender specific. You could be a single parent, and it's sort of asking you to sort of look at that side and perhaps having help from the spirit or the underworld in order to assist you with the shadow. If you're not familiar with the shadows, and you can look this up, you can Google the shadow self. Carl Jung, a famous psychiatrist, explains the shadow, but there's other people who have done really good videos in explaining the shadow and how to do shadow work. So the shadow is basically that side of yourself that you ignore, that you want to suppress, that you don't want to deal with. And sometimes that can sort of surface itself in an insidious way. So be very mindful of that. So that's looking at the foundation of your energy. Now let's delve a little bit deeper to looking at the energy that's in and around you. So I'm pulling 4 cards from this deck. Whoa, that's too many. I've already got one, which is a nice card. It's the 6 of Wands. Okay, 5 of Pentacles. Okay. So we got the 6 of Wands, we got the 5 of Pentacles, we have the King of Cups, and we have the 7 of Pentacles. So 6 of Wands talks about a victory. So in a situation, there's going to be a victory, whether this is achieving a goal, whether this is, perhaps if we're talking about the father figure or dealing with the shadow, there's going to be victory here. We do have the 5 of Pentacles, however. Now, I am going to have a balanced discussion in regards to the 5 of Pentacles because it was in reverse. So the 5 of Pentacles represents abandonment. But I'm going to leave it upright when I show you the cards, because I like to read the cards upright, but I'm having a balanced discussion with this one because it did represent itself to me in the reverse. So in the reverse, what it basically means is coming out of that abandonment feeling. Perhaps there's been some issues, whether it's you're dealing with abandonment issues with people, or this also represents troubles in finance, and it looks like that you're going to be coming out of that with victory. We have the King of Cups. Now the King of Cups represents someone who is really in control of their emotions, really stable. They're not easily triggered by the external. So whether that's another person that's coming in, and when we're talking about the father figure, whether you are the father figure or the father figure that you're dealing with, you're starting to learn to basically be in full control of your emotions and any triggers. And the Seven of Pentacles, this is asking you to look at how you're investing your time and your energy. So, interesting. We've got a couple of Pentacles, we've got Wands, and we've got Cups. So it's all about your emotions, your passions, your desires, and your resources by the looks of things. So far, let's look at the energy that's coming towards you. So 2 cards from this deck. Okay. So we have the Ten of Swords. So this is basically an ending to a new beginning. If you can see in that picture there, you have 2 basically people or entities. It could be the same person, but splitting into 2. I like to call this card ending or defeating the inner saboteur. So the swords represent, the mind, and perhaps, battling thoughts. It's becoming too overwhelming when it comes to the Ten of Swords. It could also be an external. So someone could be, putting thoughts into your mind or making you feel terrible. And so it's the point where you're breaking free from that. So the 10 becomes the 1. You're completing a cycle here. And yeah, I like to think of it as the person or the inner saboteur that's sort of putting you down, or you allowing other people to put you down in that mind, clearing from those thoughts. We do have the 9 of Wands, which is the wounded warrior. So the wounded warrior, it means that you could be still a little bit defensive. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It could mean that it might be necessary at this point with everything that you're dealing with or going through. But just be mindful of that as well. Not blocking yourself out from receiving any victories that you deserve, and coming out of any abandonment issues, and keeping your emotions in control. But let's get some guidance from the Shaman deck for you, and then we'll tie up this reading in the end. Okay, I got 1, 2, okay, excellent. So the first one that came out is deep quiet, meditation and stillness. The second one that came out was first breath, beginner's mind. And the last one that came out was joyful muse, inspiration. Okay, let's sum up this reading for you, and I'll go a little bit more in detail with regards to the guidance from the Shaman deck. So, having a look at the cards here. Gemini Jupiter. Connecting with spirituality, looking at the underworld. It's not necessarily, I don't mean an underworld in a demonic sense at all, but getting into roots and really working with the shadow, not ignoring or suppressing things that you may have been for too long. Perhaps this has got to do with a father figure, dealing with those any issues of abandonment, because that did come up with the 5. I mean, the father figure itself, there's always seems to be some, maybe not abandonment, but what was the word that I used earlier? Absent, whether it's physical or emotional, and maybe you have taken that as abandonment. and maybe that has played out in your life in some way. But we do have victory in analysing the way and how you're going to invest yourself and keeping yourself, your emotions in control. You've got the ability to harness your emotions, express empathy when needed, but not be triggered by certain things. What's coming your way is the ending to the inner saboteur, and also perhaps still feeling like the wounded warrior, but pushing through with your passions, with your desires. So keeping that in mind. But the guidance that we have for you is a deep, quiet meditation and stillness. This will be very handy for you when you're dealing with overwhelmed thoughts, perhaps dealing with betrayal. If you have, I guess, troubles with meditation, it does take a while to be comfortable with that, especially if you've got a lot of thoughts in your mind. Perhaps try yoga. So at least your body is still moving, but your mind is going with the flow. That's always a good way. Or another way is perhaps listening to music. If you can't sit still, is just listening to music and just like moving side to side, stepping side to side with that music and trying to go with the flow of the music. It might sound weird, but it'll help keep yourself still and deal with these issues you might be going through. First breath, beginner's mind. So this is like the Fool card, taking a leap of faith. And with the joyful muse inspiration, perhaps turning to things that inspire you more. So whether this issue, the father figure could represent also a boss at work, someone that's in charge, someone that is meant to be a leader, and perhaps this is, you feel like is taking inspiration for you. You might have, once really enjoyed your job, and then there's just this ridiculous amount of pressure that you're being put under. This is basically saying, take a leap of that faith, or work on things that are also inspiring to you. You can still keep your job because it is providing you, with resources such as, money in order for you to live day to day. But don't miss out on things that actually inspire you on the side as well. So, interesting reading. I hope something resonated for you in that one, Gemini Jupiter. But interesting that we've got 11 and 33. And then we've got 21, which equals the 3. So look out for synchronicities as well. If you ever see 1133, that's a signifier that you're on the right track. So best of luck with everything, Gemini Jupiter. As always, take care and much love.